Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. It is your boy Danks, the only original American Dankster, with Elizabeth Lane. How you doing today, Elizabeth?
I'm doing great. You want to hear something funny? I was wearing business casual, then I remembered it's you, so I grabbed my hoodie. This can never happen without this hoodie, or any hoodie, really. So, yeah, I'm excited about today's episode. We've got a lot to cover.
This is gonna be great, and I love keeping it chill. So welcome to all the Danksters. Is this your first live stream?
No, I mean, I've done a ton of live streams, but it is first on YouTube because I'm not a YouTuber. Like my platform on YouTube is relatively new. So first YouTube live, I guess.
Exciting. Well, we're going to have a good time. I'm really excited. We definitely uncovered a lot of interesting things. I'm going to give an intro here. We're going to talk about what we're going to do for the next hour. She's got to go in an hour. So we're going to read super chats at the end. Probably she'll have to leave, but anybody that does give those or any memberships will recognize those at the end. So welcome. Please do hit the like and subscribe on your way in, and follow Elizabeth Lane and Dankster Intel at Elizabeth Lane Show and at Dankster Intel. So we're going to walk you through some of the most important, pretty much the most important investigation I think we've done since the FERA, on my end, FERA investigations. It's funny how things kind of tie together. We did find a lot of interesting things that are commingling, but what is happening in Box Elder County, Utah, with Kevin OLeary, this $100 billion Stratos data center. It's not a state level scandal, really. It is the visible local outcropping of a federal apparatus that has been quietly building since, I guess, in the late 1960s, really, to ensure that when the Pentagon decides something is a national defense priority, no state, no county or resident or local city, anything gets to push back successfully. And what we're going to be covering first is there's an agency, it's called MIDA in Utah, MIDA, that has been chaired by the same state senators for 18 straight years. And we've had different positioning of them, but it captures 80% of property tax revenue and returns it to the developer. And typically that 80% would actually go to the state and fund lots of other things like schools, education, police, fire, whatever. Now,
but why is education important when you can just build AI and then, take over the world, right? I mean, you gotta keep people dumb, bro.
Well, if Kevin OLeary didn't cancel on you, you probably could have asked him that. But
yeah, probably.
So,
but yeah,
we have, there's lots of other things going on with pipelines supplying the gas, like Singapore, Spain, Korea, the UK, Canada, Phoenix Group out of Dubai. There's lots of things here, but we've seen already in South Memphis, Elon Musk has built the Colossus in the suburb Black community,
right? MIDA in Georgia, yes.
Yeah, so we have exactly. Mansfield, Georgia.
Of what damages we're looking at, right?
Exactly. So, you know, and also recently or last year in Harlem, I think we have like 20, 25, something like that. 12, 25, August 25th, I think it was. Sorry. There's 12 cooling centers that have
That's right.
broken out with Legionella, actually, with 4 deaths, 99 confirmed infections. And this is the exact infrastructure that hyperscale data centers are now building across this country at unprecedented scale. And we're going to show you how this is actually a military operation designed to have regulatory and political capture in a way that's unprecedented that we know of. And people talking about, oh, Palantir and underground bunkers. And yeah, well, this actually makes this possible without any pushback, right? Any pushback. So we're going to get into all of that. But Elizabeth, I want to hand it out to you, off to you, because you've been deep in this with me for the past few weeks. So tell the audience what brought you into this investigation and why we're doing this today.
You know, I think that the most important cause why I'm doing this is because I live here in Utah. So it directly affects my health and people I love. And even if I didn't live here, you know, it's a nationwide problem. You mentioned this before, that it's not a state level problem, it is a nation level problem. And I couldn't agree more, because eventually all Americans will face something like this, maybe not in every state, but these states will control your privacy and many more. We'll get into it. So it's very strange to me that they decided to build a huge data center in a desert, where the problem is, you know, we know what kind of electricity this generates. We know what kind of heat it generates, and you're going to build it in a desert. Like when you have a heat problem and you need to cool things down and use like gallons and gallons of water, it is 4.24 billion gallons of water a year that we are going to use in a desert, guys, to cool these things down. And I can like dive into nitty-gritty how this is going to work. But first, I want to address a few things, okay? So I don't know an American that's a true patriot and loves this country that doesn't like development, okay? Like efficient development that actually helps us with everyday problems like nationwide or all of it. So, but the reason people are protesting is because they realize that, okay, this is great. We want to be first with this AI game and all, like we really do. We want the efficiency. We want a better life. But the risks that it comes with, it's just not worth it. You know, our health is tied into this. So let me explain what's going on here. Utah is a desert. We had the driest winter ever this year. Ever. So they decided to bring a data center that needs 4.24 billion gallons of water in a state that is already struggling with droughts. And not so long ago, it was Governor Cox that came out and asked Utah residents to pray for more rain. So, excuse my language, but bro, if we have to pray for rain, what are you doing? Bringing this ginormous center in Utah. I get it. We will dive into this too, that it's not quite his decision. But then the question is, why is it not? You know,
well,
is it the governor?
When you say pray for rain, I mean, I imagine they just do cloud seeding and just make rain, right?
Yeah, well, it's more complicated than that. I don't want to go into cloud sitting. It will take us too far, but it's not that easy. And you cannot constantly jab your skies and hope for the best. It doesn't work that way. So we have another problem in Utah, actually. Because Utah's growing due to all these like economical problems in these states, like a lot of Californians are moving in. I myself lived in California. So Utah's growing, and it's growing really fast. And because of that, well, we are using more water. You know, you can imagine. It's just, it correlates, right? So because we are using more water, Salt Lake is drying out. And because it's drying out, it is producing something very, very bad. So it is producing toxic dust. And what's in this toxic dust is very dangerous. It's like the chemicals that can literally kill you and cause cancer, right? So we knew this problem existed in Utah for some time now, but why would you make this decision to bring this data center when you already know you have this huge problem with Great Salt Lake? It's drying out. It needs help, and you cannot really counter issues you're already facing in the state. And now you're bringing this ginormous problem, which you know is going to be a problem. And like, what is going on in your head when you do that, right? So a couple more things that I want to mention here. We'll get to CO2 emissions because that's a huge deal as well. But electricity, okay? Most people don't want to think too far ahead. They just want to solve the problem right here, right now. Like, what's my tomorrow's, deal? What is my plan? What am I going to eat tomorrow? That's all they want to know. Well, let's talk about tomorrow's problems, shall we? How about your electricity bill? And Governor Cox says, well, your electricity bill won't go up. We remember the same rhetoric in Georgia. You know what happened in Georgia? Well, after the data center was built, their electricity in 2023 went up, doubled first, and then went up again 6 times. So the same rhetoric, same promises, but what's great about a project that has been done already is that you can look at it and judge what will happen to you, because we already know that these problems occurred with other states. And get this, the center will need 9 gigawatts of electricity. Just to put this in perspective for people, 9 gigawatts is more than state Utah uses its entirety, right? So state of Utah uses 4.7 or something gigawatts, and just this center is going to use 9. That's enormous amount of electricity. It's ridiculous. Wow. So yeah, I can go on with like what happened with regulatory bodies, but do you want to chime in first and maybe?
Yeah, I think we jump into like really this is going to be in a couple of phases here. So first we're going to talk about the health implications. There's a couple of videos we'll play a little bit of. I have a short ready that shows that cooling towers, which you need a bunch of them to run 9 gigawatts of electricity in all of these GPUs, hundreds of thousands of them. And the cooling towers themselves is what is creating this environmental impact of air contamination. Following, you have this water crisis, and Utah is already struggling with a water crisis of its own. So they're building this Ruby pipeline. There's a lot to it. We're not going to be able to get through everything today. This will be just like episode 1, but I do want to play this 1 or 2 clips here, and then from there we can kind of I'll explain. I'll play this clip, and then after that, I'll explain a little bit about what Elon Musk has been up to.
Yeah, go on. Yeah, I was just going to say before you play the clip, funny thing is just a month ago, they told us only water your lawns 3 times a week, no more than that. And if you don't do it at all, that's great.
Wow.
I'm not kidding. It was on local television. It's like, well, until May 15th, maybe don't do it at all. And then just do it like 3 times a week.
Wow. That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I water my lawn twice a day, every other day, but yeah, I have a garden. I have like all kinds of stuff. That's just ridiculous. So this is a little bit about the air contamination, the environmental stuff. So let's go ahead and play this. This is short here.
Exposure leads to like Legionnaires, which is a type of fever, or Legionnaires disease, which is a very severe pneumonia that can lead to death and organ failure and other types of things.
And people are dying. Like they've already died, and it's going to get much, much worse.
Yep. As far as air contamination, you may have been alluding to this as well in your previous conversation. This came up in some of our town council public comment sections, and so we just wanted to address it, that their improper maintenance of building water systems can contribute to the growth and spread of potentially harmful bacteria such as Legionella that can lead to exposure. Exposure leads to like Legionnaires, which is a type of fever, or Legionnaires disease, which is a very severe pneumonia that can lead to death and organ failure and other types of things. It's rare, but given how the cooling works for these data centers, the water is evaporated. And if there's any kind of contaminant in there like this, and it's evaporated and spreads, and then blown far away, there's a potential that other people could be exposed to it. And so that's something to be aware of too.
So they say that it's rare, okay? And what I want to show you really is that when you're near a data center,
People who live there.
they say it's rare, right, at the time. But once you start getting this large outbreak of data centers, I mean, everyone is affected, especially that they're building this in areas where it's, even though it's open air, this stuff goes into the atmosphere, and it's not like it just evaporates, you know, it literally carries, and depending on how much of this bacteria will go in groups together, it will go straight into your lungs. So this is a lady in Memphis, suburb of Memphis in Shelby County, next to XAI's data center, explaining what her life is like. So I'll play this here.
As if they don't count.
I like to open my windows early in the morning to breathe the fresh air, God's given air, not the air that man want to give us, but God.
Eastern Ox lives just over a mile from XAI.
A mile from XAI.
Right.
I was getting that pollution that was mixed in with everything.
You know how you light your stove and that gas seeps with the ticking noise? That's what it smelled like.
Alexis Humphreys grew up here, one street away from Eastern.
When I smelled it the first time, I was asleep. And it woke me up because I thought gas was seeping in the house, but couldn't find out. We come outside, and all the neighbors was outside trying to figure out what's going on.
It was an ordinary
So, I mean, their grandfather actually died from COPD.
dad, full of jokes.
Last year, Alexis lost her grandfather, who struggled with a respiratory illness called chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, or COPD.
COPD is a breathing condition, but you don't get it unless you smoke cigarettes. And my granddad didn't smoke cigarettes, but every 3 weeks or so, my granddad was going to the hospital. He would have to get breathing treatments. I have asthma and bronchitis. My mom have just bronchitis, and now my granny has it.
You can't hardly breathe. It's just like the whole world is collapsing down on it, and it's frightening.
Easter and her husband.
So when we look at that, okay, and you see that even though they live a mile away, they both have asthma. One has asthma and bronchitis. Her grandfather, I think her dad, this lady's dad here, died from COPD, never smoked, you know, was healthy. I mean, hopefully that's what it sounds like at least. And so let me set the table here. So Elon Musk dropped what he calls Colossus, literally right next to this town in South Memphis. Actually, I grew up in that exact area. It's called Collierville, Tennessee. I don't know if it's specifically in that location, but I grew up in Shelby County. And this has 230,000 Nvidia GPUs. And they built it in 122 days without any actual legal paperwork, any documentation from the city or state. And the environmental EPA.
Well, they had some legal work, but they avoided the regulatory bodies, as I understand. They had, you can't just build something without any legal work, but they avoided regulatory bodies that were absolutely necessary for it, which we'll go into. But yes, go on.
Yeah, exactly. And the reason why is because Pam Bondi actually dismantled the EPA Oversight Committee. And now we have the EPA is not coming because of Lee Zeldin, actually, the new EPA administrator, who is now in the conversation to replace Pam Bondi as Attorney General, and has rolled back over 30 air and water quality standards and gutted $20 billion in pollution grants, eliminating the EPA office that was specifically built to help communities like South Memphis in coming to Utah.
Yeah,
so,
and it feels like they deliberately want humans to be poisoned and dead. Like that's like their goal or something. I'll tell you one more. So there is such a thing called FERC. Not so long ago, Mark Zuckerberg was in this show, like / podcast, where he complained about regulatory bodies. He said like, well, there's so much regulations and bureaucracy, and it's really hard to like get a permit and blah, blah, blah. He just went on and on. Well, here's one thing I want to say. Everyone hates American bureaucracy. All Americans do. They don't want to deal with it, but sometimes that bureaucracy is absolutely necessary. And when it gets to your health, you absolutely want to pay attention to it, okay? And want to obey it. Well, guess what happened that everyone missed? a year ago, Trump signed an executive order that put FERC, which is a Federal Energy Regulatory Commission, which used to be nonpartisan, like super independent body. He put it under White House. And then he came out and bragged about it, which was like, what are you doing, man? You got away with signing the order. Like, stop talking about it. I don't think he even understands like that what he's doing, like is not really appropriate. So he comes out and says, well, now we don't have to wait. I can just build this super fast. We don't have to wait. Like, I got this done. So what you just told American people is, we don't care about your health. We don't have to wait to figure out whether something is safe or not. We can just bring it into your state and you just have to deal with that, right? And to your point, with this like poisonous air and all that. Now, in Utah, match that with what we already have, which is like shrinking lake that produces toxic dust, and you can find arsenic and lead in it. And this was it's like such a huge problem already. So add to all of this, what's going to happen with this new, one of the biggest, as they say, greatest data center in Utah. Yeah. So they killed the regulatory bodies. They don't care about, going through safety checks and figuring out like, okay, what are we? Because none of them live here. That's the thing. Like, none of them live here. And counter argument that Governor Cox had with this, like, emissions and stuff, his argument was, well, this center is in desert, like far away from general population. First of all, it's not that far away. And second, it doesn't matter because the CO2 emissions that this center going to produce is more than entire state of Utah produces.
My goodness.
It's unreasonable. You understand like how crazy that is? And they're talking about killing cows because cows emit like CO2. Really? How about you don't bring this censure and you don't build things like that we don't need,
Yeah,
why they do it too, but yeah.
Well, what they're trying to do is get rid of actually cows because of the methane output from cows, and they want to get rid of cows in order to offset the emissions so that their data centers can actually provide the emissions instead, so they don't get EPA oversight up their butt,
Exactly. And why do you think they are, gung-ho on this like oil? They have literal oil war right now, blowing up refineries without any real explanations. Like, do you hear like what happened to these refineries? Like when you dive in and you want to find out what really happened, oh, there was a fire. I'm sorry. It just blew up. I think what they are trying to do, and this is like just my opinion here, when you connect the dots, they know that the amount of CO2 and damage these sensors will cause in the environment, they kind of want to counter it somehow. So they are going down with oil and like CO2 is omitted with the cars and so on, with aviation. And they want to kind of bring that down so they can balance things out. Does it make sense? But the question is why? Why are we killing ourselves for this AI? Like, do we really understand it? Do we need it?
Well, we're going to get into some of that right about now. I think a lot of it has to do with MIDA, which is called the Military Installation Development Authority. And this one is just particular to, this location here.
Utah.
In Utah. But they have other ones all across the country. And the thing is, and MIDA as well, the Pentagon, there's so many different things. I might play the clip of MIDA first, show the website. What do you think about that? And then we'll go from there, right?
Yeah.
So let's go ahead and pull this up right here. So this is MIDA, all right? Military Installation Development Authority, who we are, missions and values. So this is state of Utah, created in 2007 to further economic development across multiple jurisdictions. Now, I'm going to play their main clip, I guess you could say. That way you can get a look at who they really are.
Colonel Dan Cornelius, commander of the 75th Air Base Wing and installation commander for Hill Air Force Base. When you lead a military installation like Hill Air Force Base, you see firsthand that mission success is never achieved alone. It takes coordination, across units, across agencies, and across the local communities that stand with us. For decades, Utah has been one of the strongest partners the United States Air Force could ask for. The families, employers, and local governments surrounding Hill don't just support the mission, they make it possible. And that partnership is strengthened every day through our collaboration with MIDA. MIDA understands what it takes to sustain national defense: reliable infrastructure, modern facilities, resilient housing, and a workforce ready to meet the demands of the future. Their ability to bring state, local, and military priorities together gives us the tools we need to maintain readiness and keep our airmen focused on their mission. When the military and our community partners move in the same direction, we strengthen Utah, we strengthen Hill, and ultimately, we strengthen the American nation we're all sworn to defend.
So what's interesting about this, I want to be very clear here about what this is, because they've been able to basically use this. I'll explain it in detail now, but to give you a brief overview before I go into the mechanics of this, it is literally a private, institutionalized government operation, which I believe is, and we both believe actually, that it's the deep state operating with regulatory and political capture, which means
like a deep state body inside the state, right? That no one knows about.
Yeah,
no one knows about this entity.
Yeah. So let me kind of walk you through this insane piece of state level architecture. And it's the most insane that I've ever investigated in this country, to be honest with you. So I want you to actually listen, because I'm going to get into the details, because what is happening in Utah right now is really the template of what is being prepared and rolled out for every other state across the country with sufficient land and political alignment. All right. So this agency in Utah is called MIDA, M-I-D-A, the Military Installation Development Authority. On paper, it was created to help Hill Air Force bases lease land to private developers after the base nearly closed in 1995. All right. Now, that was the original sales pitch for MIDA: help the military strengthen national defense and bring private capital. And that was their story. Now, today, MIDA is something completely different. MIDA is a quasi-governmental authority with 8 board members, 5 appointed by the governor, and then 1 by the Senate president, and then 1 by the Speaker of the House, and 1 is non-voting. So the chairman has been there since 2008, which his name is Stuart Adams. Stuart Adams is also the sitting president, Senate president of the Utah legislature. Interesting fun fact, he was also a political whip to get votes in order when they wanted to pass a bill. So the same man who controls the floor of the Utah Senate, the same legislature that wrote MIDA's expanded authority for what's called SB 169 in 2024 and SB 132, agency that uses that authority. So the man who writes the laws is the man who executes them, and that is not oversight. That is the same hand on both sides of the table for 18 years straight. And the state of Utah has no say in what MIDA does inside of their MIDA project area, and they can choose whatever area that they want. Okay, so when you're talking about, and this came from Business Journal, quoted, they called MIDA, quote, a statewide development authority supplanting local land use authority and empowered with broad discretion and authority over projects anywhere in the state that claim a military nexus. MIDA does not collaborate.
It can override state authority. We should say that. It can actually override state authority. So it's like the best way to explain, it is a hybrid. If you want it to be a military, it will be military. If you want it to be more civilian, it can be more civilian. So it's a deep state entity that can be a hybrid of multiple things and doesn't really have one destination. You know what I mean? It's absolute nonsense and craziness that we even allow such an entity to function inside a state.
Absolutely. And what's funny is while we were doing the research, if you're a Dankster, you follow my channel or seen some of my content recently about TPUSA and Charlie Kirk. Well, the two people senators that claim to be GOP reps. Remember, I made a video recently and I told you that in Chief Long's, the UVU police chief's communications records that was brought forward from a request by a news channel, they showed that two people showed up the night before Charlie Kirk was assassinated at 10:35 p.m. at the UVU campus asking to speak to police about a plan. And it's being told that it was Senators Curtis and Senators
Mike Lee.
Okay, Mike Lee.
Yeah.
Right. And these same two people are the ones that are operating at the federal level. So you would think about Stuart Adams kind of working in parallel or hand in hand with Lee and Curtis, right?
Yep.
Now, they've said nothing publicly, not a letter or hearing, no press conference, but these are, again, the two senators that were in police chiefs' longs regarding security planning or whatever, a plan for before Charlie Kirk's assassination. So it is very strange to me that we have a military, private, deep operation. And really, I have a theory. Okay. I think that the federal oversight of Stratos is not a hole in the system. Like, I think it is the system. That's why
it
we
is the
say
system.
deep.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's why I call this like data centers military operations. Because if you go back in like Georgia, you will find military interests in every data center built in every state. And we know that military industrial intelligence complex owns this country. And they never really have any good intentions for people. I mean, they killed the president, you know, they killed President Kennedy. And it is my personal opinion, they also killed Charlie Kirk. So it's very interesting to me that the only state that has such an entity like MIDA is the state where Charlie Kirk was killed. Just something.
Yeah, I mean, when we look at what they're actually doing, they are literally rolling this out. Now, I kind of want to get into the interesting part of how the taxes work. So what's crazy is, and I'm just going to do this from memory. I didn't type it all up, but I have a good understanding of how this works. So typically, you would come in if you were a data center, like if I just were to go open one, they would charge me a tax. Now, 100% of that tax would be deducted from my income. Well, they worked a deal to actually give back. Well, actually,
it's called a rebate.
A rebate.
80%, I believe, right?
No, he actually gets a rebate of 99%.
99?
Okay? Yeah, it's 99%.
What?
Let me explain. So yeah, so it's so he's only paying about 0.02% of that tax. He pays the 100% worth of the tax. They rebate him back, and then he gives 20% to MIDA. So he gets 80% of that rebate back. 20% goes to MIDA. MIDA keeps 10%, half, and then 10% goes back to the state. But it doesn't go into the school funds. It doesn't go in the police department. It just goes into their general fund.
Right.
And
which
in their
usually
general fund,
it would. We should say that usually if this was not the structure of their like supposed deal, like it would go to schools, it would go to the state and things that, you know, usual people will benefit from, but it's not. So we should also say the role of MIDA in this negotiation with, OLeary.
Yeah, it would be, and like this should benefit. And the issue is that the money is being literally taken out of the hands of the students, out of the hands of the schools. I mean, when you're looking at an institution, right, that it's not a cash giveaway, but their general fund, they can pretty much do whatever they want with it based off of whatever the oversight committee that operates those funds wants to do, instead of demanding that it goes to a specific outlet, right? So this is one big thing that really bothers me, and we've been trying to figure out, like, why would they do this? I don't think that they had a choice, to be honest with you. And when we look at, so it's they're literally the personal property in a data center context. It means the servers, the switchgear. So they're getting their 100% tax exemption on personal property tax, and that's where the specificity is, because everything that's expensive besides the land is tax exempt. It's 100% tax exempt.
Exactly.
Right. So,
and the governor doesn't really have like much say in this. That's the crazy part, right? And I don't know if I should feel sorry for Governor Cox, but I kind of do in a way, because he got himself in this, triangle, I want to say, where he doesn't really have much power. He knows that these forces are like way beyond the state, so the best thing he can do is like, if you can beat them, then join them. I think that's where he is right now. So it's like, okay, well, I'm just going to join them and not be a hero here, So yeah, and it's crazy.
It's crazy. And what MIDA actually controls inside this project area, and they can control you can look up MIDA Utah and you can see all the projects that they control. It's not just this one, but on the financial side, MIDA is the entity that this is so wild. They literally set the tax rates for any involvement that any project under their umbrella. They collect the tax and decide how much of it actually flows back to the developer versus how much stays in public's hands. So MIDA is not simply a tax incentive program or an economic development board. It is a state-created political subdivision with 5 stacked powers operating at the same time. It overrides local zoning. It captures and redirects tax incremental financing for up to 40 years, sets custom tax rates at its own discretions, issues bonds, and rebates the developer's taxes with no elected accountability. And the board is appointed entirely by the governor, the Senate president, and the House Speaker. Now, the authority is the Military Installation Development Authority, which is MIDA, and its own board holds final say over decisions made within its own project area. Doesn't matter if there's a whole city in that county. And the sentence really describing what MIDA's internal supremacy is that the very zones that MIDA creates is that local county commissioners, city councils, planning departments, none of them have the ability to override power once a MIDA project area is designated, and they can decide wherever it is that they want to designate within the state. So their only recourse, if you're say you're a mayor in a city and you're like, I don't want my water to go here, I don't want this to go there, I don't want that money, whatever it is, whatever the complaint may be, this is what they can do. They can submit a complaint, and MIDA has to acknowledge that they've received it, and that's it.
But that's all they have to do. Yeah. When we read that, we were like, I think there was a pause. Like me and Danks were going through this. And when we read that, we were like just shocked. We were like, what? They have to just acknowledge it. And then they will tell you to go, wherever you want.
Go after yourself.
Yeah, exactly. And they are not going to do anything. So this is almost worse than Nazi Germany, because at least in Nazi Germany, if you had the numbers, if you were big enough, you could probably protest something. You could align with Rommel or something. Even with communism, you could do it. It's almost worse. And this is one example of the state that we investigated. Now imagine if we do all states and what we can find, but this is one very disturbing example. I have no words.
Well, I want you to think about what I've just laid out about Stratos. And the reason why the thumbnail is the way it is, that data centers are military operations. So let's think about it like this and expand it, right? So all the stuff I just said, the regulatory capture, the decision-making, everything. Well, we have Scale AI, okay? They got a $500 million Pentagon contract last week or two to deploy AI across the Air Force Survivable Airborne Operations Center, which is a real thing. Now, the Airborne Nuclear Command and Control Aircraft as well, plus the Defense Innovation Unit's Thunder Forge program, plus the Golden Dome Continental Missile Defense Architecture. And MIDA owns 49% of Scale AI. And they also made its Llama AI, which is an open sourced model of large language models, kind of like how Gemini or ChatGPT or whatever, but they can expand it and get billions of parameters however they want since it's open source. They made it available to Lockheed Martin. So they're going to be providing this infrastructure to be used by Lockheed Martin, Booz Allen, Palantir, and multiple others for military integration. And Meta is building a $10 billion 1 gigawatt data center in El Paso, Texas, directly adjacent to Fort Bliss, where the Carlyle Group is building Project Jupiter inside the gates of the base of the U.S. Army.
So Carlyle Group, guys, people might not remember this. Carlyle Group was seriously under serious scrutiny during Bush era because of their shady deals. And people realize that this is a group, like some kind of a deep state in America, that has these presidents and really important political figures on board. They're not necessarily like shareholders, but they are kind of a face of Carlyle Group growing for example, Bush Sr. was a face of Carlyle Group, going around the world, doing some deals no one knew about exactly what this guy is doing, right? So it was a group that represented the cleaner side of Epstein class. That's what it is. So Epstein was a maniac with all this sexual weird stuff, with that it was his personal hobby to, get people in this blackmail or whatever. We don't know. But imagine Carlyle Group is like a cleaner version of elite class, deep state entity that makes these weird deals all around the world that no one really could track down exactly. And there's a good documentary. I'll put it, when this is over, I'll put a link down below for you to see what Carlyle Group was and represents. And some journalists were after them. And then I had this interaction with one of them that was seriously investigating Carlyle Group. And I invited him, hey, listen, you've got all this research, come talk about this Carlyle Group. He was so scared. He was like, I no longer do this. Leave me alone. I don't want, I'm like, what happened to you, bro?
Yeah. Well, because the Carlyle Group has been long associated with the defense industry because it specializes in aerospace, military contracting, military infrastructure, government, private equity. And historically, Carlyle Group, I don't know if you know this, they became controversial because former politicians and national security officials were rotating through their firm. It invested heavily in defense-related companies, and it benefited from post 9/11 defense spending growth. And critics are arguing that this is and I would say as well, that they have multiple conflicts of interest because of that, a revolving door of political insights and operators. The deep state and incentives for endless military expansion, and that criticism is legitimate and long-standing. So that is just, to me, when a merger of state security priorities and private corporate infrastructure, that is what deep state does, and they try to make it so that nobody has a say in anything that's done.
Very true. You know how I imagine this? People have a hard time understanding, how does this deep state work in a bureaucracy like America? How do they get away with so many things? Guys, it's like a parasite that the host is aware of, but allows to operate. Does it make sense? If you had a big parasite in your brain and you were aware of it and you were like, no, I'm okay with it. That's our government and the deep state, their relationship.
Absolutely. And every single one of these major hyperscale operations in this country are at the same time a federal defense contractor. I mean, they're intelligence community vendors, Pentagon AI partner, or all three, right? Every gigawatt of AI compute is being built right now. That's being built right now in 2026 is being built through Pentagon procurement architectures. And the AI data center build out is pretty much the largest military infrastructure project the United States of America has ever ran, And you may recall, they had the interstate highway system in the 1950s, which was sold to the American public as economic development. And the actual legislation was called the National Interstate and Defense Highways Act. And the word defense was in the title. And the purpose was to move military vehicles. This was the original Highways System Act in the 50s. That the purpose was to move vehicles, they said, military vehicles and military supplies across the country or the continent in the event of a nuclear war. And the civilian use was the cover story. Oh, you're going to get to travel and stuff. So we've seen this.
That's always the cover story.
Yeah. I mean, it's happening right now in 8 states. I want to play this Governor Cox clip, but right now, these are the states that this similar type of MIDA development is happening. So you've got Texas, where you have Meta in El Paso, Project Jupiter at Fort Bliss, Stargate Phase 1 in Abilene. You've got Wyoming, where Microsoft build-outs in Cheyenne next to Warren Air Force Base, the same base where the Mine One Chinese-owned crypto miners and had to be forcibly removed by the presidential CFI US order in May of 2024. You have North Dakota, where hyperscale build-outs in the oil patch of Bakken, where Grand Forks Air Force Base sits. Arizona, Meta is in Mesa, Microsoft near Davis-Monthan Air Force Base. And, you know, there's Tennessee, you got XAI, you've got Georgia, Indiana. I mean, it's popping up everywhere. Actually, I do want to show
Let's show a map. We should show a map and then compare it to some, we will get to it to other countries as well, because I want to talk about that argument, how other countries are beating us in this game and complete bullshit.
So this is a map of all data centers. So data centers are not new. They've been around for like 50 years, 30 to 50 years. So maybe not so much as 50, but definitely 30, maybe a little longer, because you need data centers to operate infrastructure in general when it comes to digital,
but not these kinds. So what we are talking about is like an upgrade of this game, right? So not this kind. And that's the issue.
So now when we look at how many data centers, and then we are starting to add these massive data centers in areas like what we have in what's the city? What's the town called? Boxtown.
Boxtown.
These are smaller, right? But you can imagine if they are so comfortable putting all of these, right? This is where it starts to become like, okay, are we going to see double this, but in massive sizing? Let me, I'm going to actually pull up this one that I created real quick. That might be a little bit better for us to take a look at. And it really does raise an eyebrow when you start thinking about what is going to be the outcome. You know, what is going to be the implication of us actually taking in all of this additional stuff? You know what I mean? All of these additional data centers.
Implications are huge. Like, you know, whether it's CO2 emissions to, by the way, you know what their argument is with these CO2 emissions? They're like, well, yeah, you got to suck it up a little bit, but over time we're going nuclear and it's actually going to get cleaner. So, okay, first of all, can you guarantee that? And second, when exactly are you going to get cleaner? You know?
Right.
And isn't it funny that they decided to go nuclear, like nuclear energy in a state like Utah? You know what we sit on, right, bro? Like we are sitting on Yellowstone. And we are the you know, seismically, we are very dangerous zone. And you want to build a nuclear with a state like us? Like, are you kidding me?
This is, Now, I did make this. I kind of coded this up here. So these are all the AI data centers that are either in planning or basically operational. So this is also operational. You can see here, building their planned here. So let's take a look at all, and then we can actually scroll here and click. This is Stratos, right? So I might actually put this up on the internet. I think it'd be great for people to take a look.
Yes.
OLeary Digital, basically it's approved on May 4th. And there's this investigation here that explains really what it is. But if we look at the map, there's a reason why I want to show the main map, first of all, because if you think about the main map itself, sorry, let me refresh this here. So first, before we're looking at this, right? These are just AI data centers. Now you can see China, they do have some that are operational here. Now we are building our own, right? But the thing is, they are basically saying that the big excuse is that we have to beat China. But in reality, if you look at China, you've got this one here, which has a $3 billion capex. You've got one in Shanghai, $4 billion. And then you have two more, right? That's it, really. Now,
I really want to stress this, guys. We're not competing with China. I'm sorry, but we are not. And anyone that makes you believe that is a dumb is, because China is nowhere near where we are. That's number one. And China, I spoke to, I think I told you, Danks, like I spoke to George, who I'm going to have in my show soon. This is a professional AI, AI professional in the business side of things. And what he told me is that not only China is nowhere near where we are in development of AI, it's not even a competition, but also the reason they launched DeepSeek is because they are looking for alternative ways. They do not have these sophisticated chips that's needed that we are putting in these data centers, these ginormous ones in Utah and other places. They don't have it, period. So they are like, they know this threat they're going to be under once we have this technology and these like data centers. Quite honestly, it's not even a threat unless bad people are in charge, but they know bad people are in charge. So they see it as a potential threat and they are trying to defend themselves. Their actions are reactionary. It is not aggressive. So this is the same lie, guys. And I always say this, that CIA told American people about bioweapons. They told them that Soviet Union was developing a cancer bioweapon, and we have to do it faster because they are working on it. And there is not an expert in the world that can prove that Soviet Union was developing it first. In fact, there are a ton of experts that proved and wrote books about it, that we developed and we were working on bioweapons first, like cancer, for example. And then Soviets were a reactionary force. So it's always the same lie. We can do it first. Before they do it, we do it, and we cause them to react to our damage, period. And then it becomes a Cold War competition. And that's where we are now.
Do you want me to?
It's unbelievable.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. And it's very frustrating when we have no say. They put an uncapped 10-year full decade of just limitless AI development, no regulation. Now, state by state, they do have the ability to quote unquote regulate, but if you go against federal law guideline, I guess, request or advice, what is the word I'm missing? But if you go against that, then all of a sudden you're pushing up against what the federal government wants. So it's very unlikely that the states are going to push back against AI development opportunities or growth, even if they don't want it, because you don't want to push back against the federal government and then have some bullcrap sent down from the top down, like whatever, they could cause so many problems. Do you want to play this, Governor Cox?
Oh, yeah. Let's listen.
All right, I'm just going to pull it up and you tell me.
Let's listen to my awesome in parentheticals governor.
All right. I haven't watched this yet,
I reached out to him. I was like, you want to sit down with me and explain yourself? So let's say if he has guts to do it.
Let's see.
What is your position on the data center in Box Elder County? Sure. Is it being rushed? And would you characterize your discussions with Kevin OLeary?
Yeah. So we've had a few discussions for sure. What I can say is that the discussions have been very positive. That let me back up a little bit and just talk generally about data centers. We've had data centers in this state for a long time. I've been pretty neutral on data centers. I think they're important, but they're not the number one source of economic development for our state by any means, and shouldn't be. Look, we're living through a very interesting time right now. There was an article I read yesterday that said that this is very similar to kind of the nuclear arms race, the nuclear era, 60, 70, 80 years ago. Very different than anything that we've experienced in the past several decades. And there is a national security piece to this that has to be acknowledged. The rate at which machine learning and artificial intelligence is changing, the dangers that poses, and what happens if an adversarial nation gets ahead of us in this space is something that we should all be worried about. And so,
can you pause right here? First of all, that's exactly what I said. The same exact argument, guys. And you can see, please watch him. You can see man who's tortured, like he understands what's going on with this. He says, I've been pretty neutral. Well, it's not for economic development. What is it for exactly? So you're saying it's not for economic development. It's not something that's going to benefit our health. Quite opposite. It is going to raise our bills. It is going to make us more sicker. So what exactly are you doing? And then his argument is like, well, it's national security and it's like a Cold War. Just like I said, well, I don't know if he read history books at all, but Cold War was a bad thing, bro. Governor Cox, Cold War was a bad thing. Humanity said, no more. We're not going to do this anymore. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's crazy. So, I mean, I feel like he is just a puppet, you know, for all watching him. He's all of a sudden the headlines for Charlie Kirk. And now, yeah, I mean, let's watch it here.
Yeah.
Very careful with our resources. And so those are the conversations that have been had. Unfortunately, there's a lot of really bad information out there about data centers. People are operating off of models and technologies that have changed drastically over the past few years, especially when it comes to water usage. That's one where the numbers are just wrong. There was also a report about warming around data centers that was also deeply flawed, and immediately found out that it's deeply flawed. But everybody just believes it now that data center.
I want to show something. Data center satellite heat map. Watch this.
Yeah, 100%. Also, can you pay attention like how vague he is? Oh, there are searches. There are research. There's like, tell us exactly what you're saying when you're talking about there is no heat or there is no problem with water. Give us like specifics. You're the governor. You're supposed to convince us. Give us specifics. He doesn't, because he doesn't have any. That's why he doesn't do it. He has no research, no nothing. He knows exactly what it is. It's a bunch of bullshit. Like, he's like, oh, well, there is some research there. Oh, yeah, sure.
I mean, you can see, like, look at this. You know, you can literally see, the thermal heat load, and these things pump out a lot of heat. You know what I mean? So just like when you imagine having a bunch of these all packed together, and the hotter they get, the more they're used. And if you look at like a map like this, you can see, not like this, sorry. I didn't plan to show this or anything. So, here we go. This is an idea, a heat map, basically how it would look if you have one over the data centers, which I should probably create one. But yeah, I mean, imagine that map that I showed you, this one right here, the one that I built. Where is it at? Do I have it up here? Yeah, this one right here. And then imagine when they're all operational, and the heat that they're going to be putting off, and the emissions they're going to be putting off, the potential Legionnaires that they're going to be putting off, right? So it's a major problem.
Yeah.
So let's get back to home slizzles.
All the water and destroy everything around them, and that's just not true. And so we're going to have these in our country, and we're going to have some of these in our state. And so the question is, again, where do we put them, and how do we do this?
The question is why.
Exactly. I was about to say, like, why are we going to have it again? You can pause now and assure yourself that China will too. They can't wait for you to pause so they can pause. But no, that's like, we have to have them. Why do you have to have them? Sometimes the simplest people, Danks, will give you the best solutions. I heard this, like, a farmer in Utah. He was like 60 something, maybe 70. And he was like, all my life, you know, I never needed AI. I survived and I did really well. Why do we need this now? Like, at this cost, you know? And he's right. Like, we don't.
I do want to answer. What's up, Trigger Smart? Good to see you, big dog. He says, what's the minimum size for the AI data center to show on that map? On my map that I have here, which is XAI. Now, XAI is going to be
bigger than this one.
Yeah, it's going to be 9 times bigger. XAI is 1 gigawatt. The starting gigawatt output for data centers in the US are 0.25, so a quarter of a gigawatt. So you're already talking about massive output. And then the smallest one on this map, I'm probably going to build this out. I started working on it. I think people would be interested in this. So I will build a website for this and put it out hopefully today if I can, if not this weekend. But yeah, I mean, also when we're talking about this, you have planned also in Kenya, which is the smaller ones in Kenya, in Africa, they're like 0.05 gigawatts, and then 0.09. So they do have smaller sizing, but everything in the US starts at 0.25. And believe me, once they realize that they can just build a whole bunch of these smaller ones too, that's definitely what they're going to do.
Also, Danks, we should talk about what these data centers can do, that you don't have to be on location to operate them, and why they want to dominate so much in the US so they can practically become like the hub for the world and all that. You might have to do it by yourself because I do have another show. So I'm going to have to say goodbye, guys, but I want to say a few things. First of all, go subscribe my YouTube channel, Elizabeth Lane Show. We have ton of awesome investigations, deep dives on different subjects. We don't stick with just one. And my interview with Candace Owens drops tomorrow, and it's going to be so interesting, guys. I mean, it was a pleasure for me to do it. So also, my followers, go follow Danks. Isn't he adorable? Like every time we have like some kind of investigations going and we talk, we always get on Zoom and he's like, I'm going to build a map. I'm going to build this. I'm going to build this. I'm going to build this. People need to know, like you're awesome, dude. Like really. So thank you guys very, very much. I'll see you on my channel. I'm going to go hop on a different show. It's about hantavirus. Hopefully we're not going to get hit with another COVID 2.0, but we'll see. Well, thanks, Danks, and answer questions for me, will you?
Yeah, absolutely. We got some questions, super chats. I'm going to go on for a little bit longer. So everyone, please stick around. Follow Elizabeth Lane. She's putting out great content. Become a member on her show, on her YouTube, because she's putting out content that's been never before seen footage of like, who do you have? John Kiriakou interviews. And all kinds of really cool stuff.
You want to hear something awesome about John? So this show that I produced with John, he and I were sitting, kind of figuring out what to do with this like show, how to make it the coolest freaking show ever. And he was like, why don't we use CIA's own documents to completely trash the agency? And I was like, can you do that? He's like, oh yeah. So everything is based on CIA's own documents. It's awesome. So I highly recommend it, guys.
Wow. Awesome. Yeah, I definitely look forward to seeing that stuff. And she does have a recent upload, so go check it out. Thanks, Elizabeth. It's always a pleasure. I'm sure we'll talk later. All right. We'll talk to you soon. Bye. All right. So you're left with just the Dankster. Welcome to all of those. If you haven't yet, please like and subscribe. Hit the notification bell so you get notified when we do these deep investigative dives. It's important, right? This is some of the most important information that could be talked about. And it's just that it's new, right? So a lot of people don't know enough to actually speak about the great details of what's actually happening. This is quite literally, without a shadow of a doubt, a military operation within each state, okay? MIDA is regulatory capture, political capture. All right. This is not something that, like, a lot of people say, oh, they're going to be military bases. Maybe, but they don't need to, right? They can operate on their own. So to explain what she was saying, like why she asked me, I know this stuff from crypto, right? And in crypto, if you want to operate certain things, you need high GPU power. You need actual output that, for example, for this project that I'm working on for another company, they want to basically operate like 40 meetings a day with an average of 300 people throughout the day, constantly back and forth on audio, right? Or video or whatever it might be. Well, you need, each GPU is at minimum like $8,000, $9,000, $10,000. Okay. So because of the fact that these GPUs are so expensive, they are able to actually rent the GPU power. So right now, all over the United States, we're seeing these buildings of or the biggest concentration of computing power in human history, not factories, not housing, not hospitals, but building full-blown buildings of graphic chips, right? And the same chips that are used, for example, to render your kids or yours or mine Xbox games or computer games or PlayStation games are now stacked by hundreds of thousands of them inside of buildings that are the size of football stadiums, drinking electricity and taking that in by the gigawatt and water by the millions of gallons. Now, these people that are building these are telling you that it's about national security or an AI race against China. They say we need them so that America doesn't lose a race to China, which couldn't be further from the truth. The story is a lie. And the lie matters because of who actually wins when you believe it or when it happens. So what is a GPU really in plain English? A GPU is just a chip, okay? Not a potato chip. You don't want to eat it, okay? But it's a chip that originally was built to run video games and computers and intelligence or data computation. Now, today it runs artificial intelligence, all right? These chips are used to train those of like ChatGPT, Claude, Grok. These are the same kinds of chips that I'm talking about. We're just saying now way, way, way more of them packed together, running 24 hours a day, and they're generating so much heat that they have to be cooled by either entire rivers of water or industrial scale air conditioning systems or cooling towers. Well, when you compute from Amazon or Microsoft or Google, you're renting time on those chips. Okay. When a startup trains an AI model, for example, there's tons of AI startups that are putting out open source large language models, trying to compete with Claude and ChatGPT. So this is a race right now. When a startup trains an AI model, or when a hospital runs medical imaging, like for example, my wife is pregnant. We went to go see the ultrasound. Well, in the ultrasound, they're actually using AI to detect what parts of the body of the baby's body that we're looking at, and they're running AI computations at that very moment. So that's what I mean, medical imaging and others like PET scans or all kinds of different types of imagery. Now, think about also when banks run fraud detection, when a defense contractor processes satellite data, when an oil company simulates a reservoir, when a hedge fund backtests a trading strategy. That is a big one, actually. It's a very popular demand. All of that runs on GPU rented time from somebody's data center. Okay, you don't just run it. You can't run this stuff on your computer. Even I have a pretty decent computer. I have two of them. And my members only live stream, by the way, for 99 cents. You can become a member. Every Saturday, we do members only lives, 10 a.m. Pacific time. We did one last week, and I was like building something and trying to run it, and it takes a long time. In order to operate an AI intelligence system, you need a custom built hardware. You have to literally build it together. There's a GPU called the Nvidia Blackwell, which is a 48 gigabyte GPU. VRAM that runs, GPU that basically is so powerful it can literally run a small office operating AI messaging and listen to the audio and then compute it and turn it into summaries and outputs and stuff like that. So like you have to rent this stuff if you don't want to spend, I don't know, $50,000 minimum to run a facility with AI inside of just your little private company. All right. So GPU time, like a lot of people say, like, are data centers going to be the new oil? Well, if so, how could that be? Right. It's not necessarily GPU. Okay. It's not necessarily data centers that will become the new gold or the new oil. It's actually GPU time. Okay. Whoever controls the supply of GPU time rental actually controls the price. And that goes with anything. Whoever controls the supply of gold, they control the price. Supply of diamonds, they control the price. Supply of oil, they control the price. They also control the access and who gets to do work. They get to control who operates at a level that they want to operate. So why is the government suddenly obsessed with data centers? I'll tell you. And a lot of things that people don't talk about really is that for the last 50 years, computing was something that you would purchase, okay? You would buy a computer, for example. You bought a phone and you owned it, okay? It's affordable enough to be able to buy. that's really what I'm getting at here, is that you can actually purchase this and it's affordable enough to get away with buying it. Okay. Now, this is where, and think about it, that thing is sitting on your desk, right? You own it. Like, you have to understand where I'm going with this and compare it really to things that we currently have. AI completely breaks that model. It breaks it completely. To run real AI, you need hardware in one place that no individual, no small business, and almost no large business really can own themselves. It's also a liability, not to mention it's extremely expensive. And then not also that, the cleaning, the operations, the legalities, like all of the things that should be done to follow EPA regulatory compliance. You also, you have to just rent it, because at this point, it doesn't make sense. Say you're a hospital, okay, and you want to run all this imagery. You want to run all of the, do you use AI for all kinds of things? Whatever. The doctors need to analyze a patient's imaging. They want to analyze a patient's conversation and maybe get some input from an AI that's medically trained, okay? You're going to have to rent this software. And then you're going to, not software, this GPU time to operate your software. And you have to log into someone else's building and rent their machines by the hour. All right. Now, whoever owns these buildings, that's the choke point. Okay. That's the choke point on every economically productive activity in general when somebody owns something, but specifically we're talking about AI. So whoever owns those buildings owns the choke point on the economic productivity and the activity thereof that uses AI. Okay. Which in 5 years will be pretty much every economically productive activity in general. The federal government, the Department of Defense, and the intelligence community really figured out all of this in 2022. If you've heard about AI 2027, what is it going to look like? This comes from learning this back in 2022, 2023. They watched ChatGPT. They watched what happened when one company suddenly had a thing that every other company desperately needed, and they couldn't build it themselves. And the people in Washington really thought, we should make sure that the thing happens here. Like, we should make sure we have access to it and that we run it, and that we should make sure that adversaries don't. That is a legitimate concern for them. The part I could grant them, possibly, but that's not the only thing that's happening. The other thing that's happening is when you build the world's GPU supply on American soil under American military base operations that we just explained, like MIDA, with American utility ratepayers footing the electricity bill, footing their city and local tax bills, footing their everything, their water bill, you create something that's never existed before. Okay, a single physical location, the United States, okay, or set of locations where the entire global computing economy is running through. Okay, so imagine if oil, like the bulk of the oil was only coming, like how we're dealing with Iran and the Strait of Hormuz. Think about it like that. So we are creating the AI data center version of the Strait of Hormuz. That's what we're doing. So if you control those buildings and the property that those buildings are on and the time that is being rented by, from, where, who, you get to see what every AI model in the world is being trained on. You get to see what queries are being run by whom and on what data. You get to throttle access to foreign countries and foreign customers, friendly or unfriendly. You get to insert software updates, monitoring tools, or kill switches at the hardware level. You get to decide who is permitted to do AI work or who's not. And you get to set the price for the most important input in modern economy. This is not a future capability. This is the capability that's being built right now as we speak. The infrastructure for it is being poured into concrete in Texas, Indiana, Louisiana, Utah, operating in Tennessee, and more, Ohio, Virginia, Georgia. Okay. The legal authority for it is being written into things like Utah's MIDA, Military Installation Development Authority statute. All right. The Louisiana Lighting Speed Initiative is another one. And the federal CFIUS, CUFIUS, rules that quietly added 59, I think, new military installations in November 2024 that triggered jurisdiction for over any foreign money real estate transactions nearby. The China narrative is just a cover story. Every time anyone questions this build out, the answer is the same. Okay? We have to do this because of China. China, China, China. Let me see if I can find a clip. US let me see if I can see here. I need to make a clip. It's like every time they say China, AI, China. Let's see what we've got. This is CNN. Like, I'm literally going to be playing something I haven't watched. It's crazy. Senator rejects including Chinese AI leaders in U.S. planning. Oh, this is perfect. I mean, it's a little long, but here, let me share this. This makes sense. Like, why do you think, like, they'll let China build on property in the U.S.? They'll let China operate TikTok. They'll let China whatever. They'll let it, obviously they don't own it anymore, but they'll let China buy homes and property and run businesses and all this shit. But they call it crazy, or they don't want China involved in any of the AI. Like, it's not because they're going to get the power. It has nothing to do with AI being smarter than Chinese AI. It has nothing to do with that. It has to do with centralizing GPU time rentals in the United States and China having nothing to do with that. So we can rent it to them. That's why. So we can have better, more power. We already have way better AI than China will ever have already. Their DeepSeek is garbage. DeepSeek V3 is garbage. All of their AI is trash. I use them all, okay? I don't use them all. I only use one, really. So let's see what this says. I'm going to put it on 1.25. Just see what this is. I haven't seen this, so forgive me if it's stupid, but we'll see what it is.
Thank you, Senator Dave McCormick. Senator, it's great to have you. Thank you so much for being here. And we have a lot to get to, of course, of your priorities and what you've been working on in the Senate. But let me start here, because Bernie Sanders is also holding a panel.
So I don't know. This says Senator rejects including Chinese AI leaders in U.S. planning. Like, think about why that would be. Why would they reject? Why would senators reject including Chinese AI leaders in U.S. planning? There's multiple reasons. Okay, there's multiple reasons. You don't want your foreign adversary who's talking about taking the back of Iran and Russia and all this. Obviously, I get it. But when I explain to you the GPU rental of time and that we are literally centralizing that, like, again, let's look at this again real quick before I play this. Imagine you have these here, okay? But we're building all of these here. This is the thing. If we can build them faster than China and start conveying the rental, I want to pull up a page. Watch this. Check this out. For example, let's go to this one right here. Breakthrough on demand. Train, fine-tune, and serve models on 1 to 8 NVIDIA GPU instances designed for builders. Start building. Launch these GPUs. A100, H100. These are high-powered GPUs. Okay? You literally sign up for an account, you pay, and then you pay by the minute. All right? You can get 8 times, 4 times, 2 times, 1. Launch GPU instance, and then you have your pricing. Okay? This is how this stuff works. You see? GPU instances purpose built for AI. Turnkey performance. Full GPU access. Zero throttling. That's reassuring. And do you see now, like, this confirmed? I've never even looked at this site. Lambda GPU rental. Okay. real-time visibility, monitor your GPU, memory, network performance directly from the dashboard or an API to catch bottle breaks before the slow training or inference, easy storage, keep data sets, checkpoints. So if you get to look into the insights of that, they have the insight. Am I piecing this together properly? Let me know in the chat. Am I making enough sense? So it's not just about, oh, they're an enemy, or, oh, they, like someone said, wouldn't that make America vulnerable to attack from China, maybe? And I get that. I get what you're saying, right? Well, wouldn't you think that them Chinese owning hospitals and facilities and warehouses and all the cargo and everything that they own in this country also does the same? I mean, they're driving 18-wheeler trucks across the country for Chinese companies. They're sending Alibaba over with like the Amazon version of China. Okay, Alibaba, they're dropping drone packages. You don't think that they could? That's a concern? Of course it is. It has nothing to do with that. That's what I'm saying. It doesn't make sense when you actually know what we're talking about here. Okay, so let's watch what this video is.
Discussion this week with two Chinese AI leaders. Now, you've studied this space for a long time. You know that we are in this race with China for AI. How do you feel about Bernie Sanders telling us that we should be including Chinese leaders in our AI planning?
Yeah, I think it's crazy. We are in an existential fight with China for leadership in AI. Winning that battle depends mostly on what we do. We can now compete and be a leader.
So they're saying here that they're hosting panel with Chinese scientists. This is the thing, because I don't know. Like I said, I haven't seen this video. Now, I think that this is how I see it. Okay, and I could be wrong. If you are able to build this stuff fast enough, again, we can go back to this map. And we can get a net, like, say we double this, right? Say we double this output and we put another 20 across the country. China right now is operating 4. Looks like 4, I think. Where's this at? Yeah, 4. Okay, so this is South Korea, Japan, Taiwan, Thailand, and whatever. Okay, so they're planning. I don't know if they probably are planning things that they haven't made public or that I haven't found yet, because I whipped this up in a day. But imagine doubling or even tripling this output. If you can make it cheap enough to rent, then it makes no sense for anybody to build them. All right. Now, would China build them? Probably, but you would rent along the way and we would get insights into what they're doing. And they know that. And actually, just so you know, when you're using DeepSeek, an open source model on your computer or in your software in your stack, they actually know what you're doing. And so they actually put a hard stop. Like, for something that I'm developing, I can't use it because there's like information that we don't want Chinese to be able to get a hold of. And it would be the same back and forth. So they would over time want to. But if they could work a deal, maybe that's what they're doing here at this meeting. They're trying to work a deal, like say, hey, we'll not stop you. We will rent it out. If you guys we'll build all these facilities. We'll make it affordable enough. We'll rent them to you and try to stop them from building centers for data centers. And that way we can actually control the data centers and the GPU time rented across the world. China is one of them. But at the end of the day, who wants to rent GPU time from China? So they already know. China knows this. We know this, okay? China is going to use your data against you. So we already know this. So it only makes sense. Obviously, we will too. I don't know why anybody would think that we're not going to do the same thing, but China has a bad rap, obviously. So let's see what they have to say.
Absolutely should expect that the Chinese are trying to infiltrate and steal, as they have through decades, our advanced technology. And so I view China as an adversary, really the biggest threat we have geopolitically. And I think we're going to have to make sure we have the right safeguards to protect our IP and to protect the advances we make here at home.
I mean, isn't it true that they're going to try to steal it anyway? So why make it easy for the Communist Party to steal our technology by including them in our planning meetings? Because they've been stealing intellectual property for decades, right?
Absolutely. And it's insidious. It's integrated throughout the supply chain. I introduced legislation to ensure that China wouldn't get access to our most advanced chips by gaining access to data centers in other countries that use them. They have a comprehensive strategy for infiltrating and stealing our advances. America, make no mistake, is at the cutting edge of innovation. China is lagging us, but they can close that gap very quickly. They're going to be able to accelerate closing that gap if we make it easy for them. We need to have extreme.
In general, when you look at this map, they always tell us, right? Oh, data centers in China. Bro, look at the EU. And then look at China. Compare France, Spain, Portugal, Germany, all of this. Okay. The UK. Look at this. All right. Just look at this. And then look at this. Data center wise, just in general. And then look at China. There's nothing here. There's like a 10%. Okay. Look at the map that I built. I have some of them, like not all of them, but I have a lot of them. Okay. No, I don't have the ones wait, I do over here. So look at this, right? This is going to be really cool. I do need to launch this. It does. You can search by AWS, Alibaba. There's an Alibaba in Mexico. All right. S&P Global. Okay. So you can do all of this stuff. XAI. I definitely need to build this all the way out. So let's get back to the video. See what they have to say.
Protections against China taking advantage of naive thinking, as you just described from Bernie Sanders.
All right, Senator, let me move on to Kevin Warsh and your work in the Senate Banking Committee. The chairman nominee, Kevin Warsh, cleared that key hurdle to lead the central bank after the Senate Banking Committee advanced his nomination earlier this week. And I spoke with Senate Banking Committee Chairman Tim Scott yesterday, and here's what he said about the timeline to confirmation. Watch. Should we expect a full Senate vote and a confirmation the week of May 11th?
Absolutely. We should certainly expect it within the first 2 weeks that we're back in May. It's great news for the American people. We're finally going to have a Fed that's independent, focusing more on interest rates than they are on politics and climate change. So it's refreshing to see Kevin Warsh come in and take over at the Fed. We're excited about that.
So, Senator, you introduced Kevin Warsh during his confirmation hearing. Let's take a watch on that.
It's really a great honor to introduce my friend Kevin Warsh and welcome him. Kevin has been a friend for many years. As someone who knows Kevin and who knows this institution, that Kevin Warsh could not be more prepared for this, his finest hour. There's no one more fitting, no one more qualified to.
I don't care, bro.
It's on the 15th. Should we expect that after confirmation, and do you confirm that it's the week of May 11th that he?
Okay, whatever. They're just mumbo jumbo right now. So look, at the end of the day, and we're going to get to super chats here in a minute. So if you want to have any questions that I can help answer, please do. And I appreciate the support. So before I close this out, what I need to say is that, and I want to bring this all the way home, because if you haven't made it this far with us, you really deserve the full picture. If you haven't understood what this stuff is, if this helped, let me know in the chat. Just put anything, like put a fire emoji in the chat if this actually taught you something, if you're learning. Because a lot of people ask me about AI and data centers, and let me know. Put a fire emoji in the chat. Are you learning something today? Are you learning something that you've never heard of before? I think that this is a bombshell when you learn about MIDA, right? We started today with MIDA, which is, just so you know, and I've said it multiple times, which is the military installation. This is a quasi-governmental agency, okay? I see all the fire emojis. It's a quasi-governmental agency chaired by the same senator for 18 straight years. This is capturing 80% of the property tax revenue and then handing it back to Kevin OLeary, who's a Canadian, Irish, UAE resident principal developing body, who is openly pursuing full Emirati citizenship. So we showed you how the state of Utah has no actual oversight authority inside of MIDA project areas, how the Public Service Commission was statutorily bypassed by SB 132. How box elder homers are now subsidizing the public services that the data center demands, but does not pay for it, and through the property taxes on their homes. We walked you through the foreign asset capital stack. We showed you every hyperscale AI data center really being built in this country right now that is structurally tied to the United States military. Scale AI's Pentagon contract, Meta El Paso adjacent to Fort Bliss, the Carlyle Group's project Jupiter inside the gates of Fort Bliss. They're actually, Anduril is deploying Battlefield AR, augmented reality, on consumer Oculus tech. So every major hyperscale operator in America is at the same time a defense contractor. They're also an intelligence community vendor. They're a Pentagon AI partner, or all three. And that's concerning. And when we walk through the public health receipts, Memphis, Mansfield, Georgia, Harlem, where people have died, South Bronx, Indiana, where Amazon has pumped 38 billion gallons of water, and the local wells went dry and electricity bills went up 200. Here, I showed this before, but I can show it again for those that are new. Let me show you this. I made a short on it. Let me just go to my X account and I'll show you this short right here. Like, subscribe, follow, share, all that good stuff. Here's one. Here, let me open this up real quick. Okay, look at this. Let me share the screen and we'll get to super chats shortly. Okay. Look at this right here.
The water won't come through the water lines to fill the toilet tank, so I have to fill it with a bucket of water. It's plugged with sediment. No one should have to be afraid to drink their water. Not in this day, not in this age. I'm going to fill it up with some water.
Since construction began, her well has turned murky. The sediment you see, that's from her taps. And she said,
bro, look at that. Okay, so this is what I want to talk about. The data center. You guys, the data centers are killing people. And they don't talk about this. The data centers are actually killing people. It's really, it's not good.
To breathe the fresh air, God's given air, not the air that man want to give us, but God. You can't hardly breathe. It's just like your whole world is collapsing down on you.
Imagine feeling that way, dude.
And it's frightening.
It's frightening, man. Of course. I am not okay right now with this. You've got generations of people, grandfather, and I'm sure we watched it. Go back and watch it if you haven't seen. It's terrible. The water is rusted. The water is rusted. It's disgusting. So the wells are drying up. Electricity bills are going through the roof. They've actually gone up over 250% in some locations. Louisiana, where MIDA has restructured its own, its $27 billion deal with the same day. They did it the same day that the Public Service Commission approved its gas plants so that Louisiana taxpayers absorb the risk of MIDA. And if MIDA walks away in 4 years, they absorb it, the ratepayers. Now, computing used to be something that you bought, okay? You bought a phone, like I said. You bought a laptop or a computer. This thing sitting on our desk that I mentioned, that I'm using right now. Again, AI breaks that model. To run AI, you need so much hardware in one place that nobody can actually substantiate. And not even a small business, even a large business can own it themselves, really. You have to rent it, okay? So that means whoever owns the rental time and owns the facility has the choke point. So the question is not whether will AI be everywhere. It will be. The question is who you're renting it from, what they know about you. We haven't even gotten into Oracle's super AI build out that they've got coming. what they can shut off if they don't like you, what they can extract from your community in exchange for being allowed to build this damn thing in the first place. The United States actually has more than 4,000 data centers. All right. China has 360, something like that, 369, 11 times fewer. Okay. 1,100% less. About 80% of the data centers in China actually were built to sit empty because they built the buildings that they're sitting empty. They built the buildings before they had anywhere to plug them in. The US alone has more than 50 gigawatts of actual operating data center capacity. The European Union has 12, and China is around, I don't know, 30. Most of it is not running. We are not losing a race. We are running uncontested, and we're pretending we're about to lose. And it's the same thing. It's the same thing of Israel and Iran's nuclear power. It's the same shit. That's how I see it. All of this is happening. Every one of these rules is being bent or broken right now, all over the country, in the name of beating a competitor who's not even running in the race. That's the truth. I'm telling you the truth. The MIDA model is not unique to Utah. It is being studied right now, drafted right now, and prepared right now as we speak by multiple quasi-government developmental authorities in Texas, Wyoming, North Dakota, Arizona, Tennessee, Indiana, Louisiana, and so on. The capture is being disseminated. Every state with sufficient land, sufficient gas, sufficient cooling water, sufficient political alignment, or they'll just pipe it in somehow, is on that export list. Utah is the proof of concept. The next 49 MIDAs are already being written. I had a chat that I opened to show all the ones. Maybe we'll do another episode, but there's a whole bunch of other ones that I found. There's like a dozen of them. So really the question you should be asking your state representatives as soon as possible is, does my state have a MIDA equivalent? Does my state have a quasi-governmental land use override authority capacity for projects with a military nexus? Does my state have off-grid private generation legislation that bypasses Public Utility Commission's reviews? Does my state have an interlocal governmental agreement framework that lets a county commission give away their land and their land use authority, the authority of that land, in exchange for some type of revenue stream where the most of that revenue flows elsewhere? If yes to any of those, your state is being built out. It's on that list, and you have not been told. If you got value from the stream, the most important thing you can do here is share it. Send it to one person who needs to see it. Drop the link in one of your group chats or your Discords. Join mine by going to clubvoucher.com/danksterintel, and you can join the community. And we can talk more about it. We do live streams weekly in the group. And we're pulling at this thread. You can donate by going to that same page as well. If you want to help support the vision, the operations over here. So let's get into some of these super chats and members. Thanks everyone for being here. I appreciate you. Yeah, this is an important topic. And I notice a lot of people are covering it more and more. And I think that it needs to be like, couldn't have had a perfect person. Like, I love this type of stuff and I know a lot about it already. And I'm learning a lot. So I'm happy to teach you whatever I know. So you can become a member for 99 cents. We can talk about all kinds of stuff on Saturday. Every Saturday, we have a members only live stream. Welcome, Kathy. Thanks for becoming a member. Inspector Bubbles. Janie. What's up, Janie? Thousands of data centers causing water problems, electricity shortages, and sickness. Yet Iran is our biggest threat. Yeah. Okay. Exactly. Right. Thank you for the super chat. Ed Franks, $10. Is this going to be a stressful episode? Laugh out loud. I need to decompress after Didi show. Oh, that's right. The Didi. I gotta go watch something. Interesting. I got to see how that went. Thanks for the super chat. Welcome, Lizard member. Welcome, Don Moya member for 4 months. Ooh, So you've been here since the beginning. You're like a day oneer almost. Christy, missed you, and howdy to the mods. Thank you, Christy, for the $10 banger. Good to see you. Elena, thank you both. Your research is impeccable. Yeah, she's awesome, isn't she? Thank you. A. Barnes, this one I think is for Elizabeth. It's the same concept here, I'll move this over here so I can look at the screen. It's the same concept as the castle towers that the towers kept getting erected as the nation was shutting down. The billionaire capitalized track the contracts information age. Yeah, for real. It's not even capitalization. It's like this is actually a hyper concentrated version of that because capitalizing capital, like, yeah, I mean, well, I'm thinking about something else, but in general, like they act like, oh, we're going to create that. Like for Utah, they're like, we're going to create 2,000 jobs. Well, half of them are gone within like the first year, I think. Critter, $10. Good to see you. So glad you're covering this. Sorry for all the emails. These centers are getting crazy. The one by me is like a city. Thanks again, Danks. Yeah, you have to apologize. I'm super busy, so I try to check my emails when I can. So sorry if I haven't gotten back to anybody. And also, like, if you email me, don't expect a response. I do try to get back, but like, don't get mad at me. Like, I've got so much going on. You have no idea. I appreciate it though. I've been getting back to you best I can, Crit. Thank you. A. Barnes, it's siege tactics, control food, water, resources, kings and shadows rule the world. Yeah, pretty much. Thank you for the super chat. A. Barnes, Chrissy Hughes gifted 5 Danks memberships. Hey, say thank you. Thank you, Christy. Chastity Phillips became a YouTube member. Welcome. A. Barnes. Let me do this here. Okay. A. Barnes again. Operation Underworld Mafia partner with military deep state. Yeah, exactly. Let me get rid of some of these here. Where am I at? Here we go. Okay, cool. Perfect. I watched so this is Elizabeth Minton. Good to see you. $5. I watched a podcast with lots of facts. I watched a podcast with a lot of facts. He said the best and biggest spacecrafts are buried under the ground in Utah. Thank you both for your time. Interesting. Yeah. MIDA would have regulatory control over these land grabs. That's interesting. I'd like to check that out. Thank you for the super chat. Stefan Hamam, $10. San Fran is 49 square miles. Utah data center is 60 plus. Yes, absolutely. It's massive. Let me look at something real quick. It's called the Ruby Pipeline. Utah. Let me see if I can find an image. Yeah, I mean, there's all kinds of stuff. And then the square miles here, let's go to Stratos, Utah size. I think I can look at a map. Pull up a map here. Is there anything? Man, they're keeping this shit under wraps, huh? Bro, this is wild. That's an AI picture, I think. Okay, I wonder if I can see. Yeah, here's one. I mean, the thing is, I'm not seeing anything good here. Here, let's see. Look at this. This is the case study page. Let me share this real quick. Boom. Let me take this down. So the data center industry is no stranger to public pushback. So, I mean, you're talking massive, massive sizing. Look at this, dude. This is huge. Massive. Get a better look. Yeah, I mean, you're talking dozens of square miles. What does this say? So, Lampo 16.3 proximity, Washakie 24 miles. My goodness. Yeah, see, that's wild. That is wild, bro. Thanks for the super chat. Cheryl, did I finish reading? Oh, I think I got rid of it. Hopefully I read it all. Sorry if I didn't. But yeah, they are literally, they're massive, dude. They are massive. And they're piping in these pipes of water and gas and all this stuff. It's just not good. Cheryl Light, Ortho Girl, something is very sus about Cox. Watching him after Charlie Kirk's demise, he seemed like he was seizing a limelight and preparing for a national level career. Ah, yeah, that's what we were saying earlier. Isn't that crazy? It seems that way. CDC dogs. Cox is exhausting. Thanks for the big super chat. To anybody, any super chat. I appreciate you guys. Cox is exhausting. The strategy he's trying to sell us today is exactly the same thing John Stockton warned us about years ago. Yes. When we look at sorry, I had to respond. When we look at the things that they're trying to sell us, right? Cox has been trying to sell us garbage since we've seen him in the limelight. When you look at the lies that are coming out, like when you look at the same thing of what you're saying with COVID and John Stockton. Yeah, it's kind of sickening, no? Masks and what are we going to end up having? Like, oh, there's going to be Legionnaires disease. Like, everybody needs to just wear a mask full time so you don't get these little particles in your body. Nobody wants that, dude. You know what I'm saying? Nobody wants that. Censorship and if you speak out against this stuff, is that what's coming? Is that what's coming? Like, that's concerning if it is. Thank you for the super chat. A. Barnes again, 1999. Hey, Elizabeth, which AI I can find out who your daddy is? Who your daddy and what does he do? Rockefeller? What? Bro, you're crazy. Wilding out. Discerning Veracity, new member. Welcome. People are awful. Welcome. Scott Bartlett, welcome. Anne Marie, homie in the building. What's up? $20 banger. Seriously learning so much great work. Thanks. Opening my eyes and everyone else's truth. I saw that you emailed me. I haven't read it yet, but I will. Thank you for showing some love. I appreciate you. Good to see you. Critters KC, what part do the energy companies play in this? Well, that's an interesting question. When you think about, and that's one part that I'm still getting to, because I have to figure out, and this is the next part of my investigation, the energy companies are private entities. Now, some are also city regulated, state regulated, and that's the part that I need to dive into, because if indeed the regulatory capture around something like MIDA, well, what are they going to be able to say? They're going to require them to give this energy, right? So that's part of the next level of investigation is how deep does this go? How much control do they have? And do they have to build pipelines of electricity in order to operate? You have to think about it like this. These energy systems, if they can get tons of money from these rebated AI data centers where they have all this extra, $500 million and just be able to spend it on whatever they need in order to operate, then why wouldn't it make sense to just pay for the stuff that they need? And these energy companies, if they can somehow sustain the energetic field in that land area, the project area, then you're getting all this extra money. The only thing is, I guarantee you they would risk other electricities and risk a blackout to get ample money. Don't you think? So how much did they plan it? I'm not sure yet, but thank you for the question. I think that's a great one. Butterfly, hey, good to see you. 1999, appreciate the super chat. Maybe China is laughing at us, destroying our land while they sit back and watch. Maybe they know something we don't. Maybe the few they have are more efficient. Maybe. Let me see. Because we can look at this here. If you look at the data center map that I built. Okay. Let me remove this here. Thank you, Butterfly. I'm going to remove this. So we can actually find out, really. So in China, remember I told you guys earlier, the smallest one, Memphis, is 1 gigawatt, I think now 2 gigawatts, depending on how many stacks they're running. Okay. Atlanta, let's see, gigawatt. This one is 0.4, so it's a little under half. Let's see, 800, so that's almost 1.5, 2.2 to 5. Okay, then let's look at this. Yeah, these are small. So this is a little over a quarter of a megawatt. So 300. Yeah, these are still smaller compared to. So this is a quarter. Maybe they're more efficient, but yeah, these are smaller, much smaller. 10 million square feet. Oh my gosh. Yeah, that's interesting. That's very astute. I think I like that perspective potentially. Vahid Rina, welcome. Thank you for the $5. Wow, I'm so well informed now. I keep saying that, but every 5 minutes that goes by, it's even more amazing. These evil ones who did this lose in the end. I hope so. I hope so. Looks like they're winning to me. I hate to say that. I don't see anybody losing except for us. You want to know who's losing? I can tell you who's losing. I have a list of who loses. I typed it out. I think it's here. Okay. Who loses? I know who loses? Okay. Tax increment financing diverts future tax revenue away from existing public services. The affected entities are Box Elder. This is just Utah. Box Elder. You can branch it out if you want to other states, but this is just Box Elder. Box Elder School District, funded primarily by property tax. They lose 80% of what would have flowed to the schools as a result of this data center. Okay. So Box Elder, instead of getting any, they're not getting it. They're not getting anything. They're losing all of it instead of getting it. And it goes back to Kevin OLeary. He gets it, and then MIDA gets half, and then 10% goes to the general fund. Box Elder, they lose out on the general fund as well, because even though they're getting 10%, they typically would get 80, and they're getting 10% of 80%. Okay. Or I'm sorry, they're getting 10% instead of 80% of what would have flowed to tax revenue for largest industrial build-outs in American history. That money could go to all kinds of general things for the state. Highways, infrastructure, whatever. Parks, I don't know. I'm telling you, I'm learning a lot, though. I'll learn what the hell a general fund covers soon. Trust me, all the things. Box Elder Fire District, Water District, Sewer District, Library District loses. Each draws from property tax, and they each lose out on that 80%. State of Utah, the energy use tax is cut from 6% to 0.5%, and it directly costs the state general fund's revenue. Tremonton, Snowville, Brigham City, unincorporated project area means adjacent towns absorb traffic, workforce pressure, and infrastructure load without any direct claim on the project tax base. That's what, just a summary of who loses. So right now, it looks like we're losing, but I hope you're right. What's up, Julie? $2, all playing for the same team, global agenda. You ain't lying. You ain't lying, homie. Vahid, thank you so much. Member for 3 months. That's a Dankster for you. Maryland, $20, 146 data centers in AZ, 7 in the country, in a state with water issues. 60 more to come. New one to be built on 3,300 acres in Tucson. And love the show. New to the podcast. Hey, I appreciate you. Welcome. You are in the right place. If you are a high IQ outfit, you're in the right place. This is, I can't say that I'm not paying Baron to say I'm not a high IQ outfit. I'm not. I promise. Don't tell anybody. But we're high IQ. Let's take a look at this real quick. I don't want Baron charging me for no dang high IQ nothing. Okay, let's take a look. Yeah. Okay. Thank you for the super chat, Marilyn. Oop. All right. So these are all the data centers right now, like in general. And I think this might be even without AI. Oh, no, it is with AI. Okay. Oh, look, it even says get a quote. You want a quote for the AI data? What are you looking for? Private cloud, public cloud, hybrid cloud, contain. See, they're already trying to rent out your dude. Bro, how right am I? It's because I know how this shit operates. You know what I want to find? Let me see if I can find there was a crypto. It was called AI. Let me show you. Let me see if I can find it. It's called Core AI or something like that. If you see this website, you'll see it. I think it was called Core AI. Man, if I can remember what it was called. Now I got to see on my old portfolio. I don't even think I have it in here. Oh, man. It was an old one that I used to, and I made money on. Let me find the AI infrastructure categories. I don't know if it'll even be in here. It was so old. But there was one that you could actually buy here. Like, for example, let me just show you this page. So these are like all the AI crypto that are operating. There's a bunch of them. I'm looking for one in particular. Pal AI. It's a GPU rental service. And I used to I've rented from them before. That's why I know how this stuff works. So they've been renting GPUs through crypto for quite some time. But I don't know if this is going to be even how old it is, if they've changed, if that coin is even around anymore. AI, let's see, what is, let me see. More gainers. Yeah, okay. Let me go back. New. I bet you new would be like AI infra type of stuff. Quack. What is this? Yeah, I don't know. I wish I could freaking remember the name, bro. There's so many like AI projects back then. I can't remember. Damn it, bro. I've been thinking about trying to figure out the name of that crypto for so damn long because I want to show the site. Anyways, thanks for the super chat. Maybe you already addressed it. $5. Hey, what's up, Blob? Maybe you already addressed it, but what do you know about Trump designated AI as a national security priority? Well, they're literally putting millions and millions of dollars into hundreds of millions, if not billions of dollars into this stuff, right? When you look at the $500 million that was brought in order to operate for the Pentagon, when you look at Project Stargate, when you look at the regulatory capture, this is all national security protocol, okay? They are literally doing this in a way that creates implications of national security threat in order to get the American perception in line with what they want. Just like anything they would do. For example, COVID. Instead of forcing people to take a thing to get their money up, instead of that, what they do is they just turn the flu into, or they turn whatever, the flu into COVID. You know what I mean? And then they get everybody in line. And when you tie in the AI national security protocols, I think in January of last year, now that I think about it, and they had the Genius Act, and then removing barriers of intelligence. It's called I think it's called Removing Barriers of American Intelligence, something like that. And it actually revokes Biden's AI safety executive order. So it was like I think it's kind of crazy that the presidents go back and forth like this, complete opposite. I mean, this is just insane. There's got to be a little bit of middle ground, right? Okay, so when you look at the White House back last year with the Genius Act and what they dropped in that AI's action plan, I mean, you have to think about what they really gain from all of this stuff, right? It's at the end of the day, it's money, and they're just saying it's national defense. Yes, of course, we are going to need AI operational drones and AI data statistics, AI this and that for AI drone warfare. But really, though, like, is that a national security threat? It could be. I don't know. I'm not in the military. I'm not in the Department of Defense. I don't know any of that stuff. All I do is I code AI projects for independent contractors. I wish I did. I have no idea. But they do say that the national security protocol is real. I think they say it's the kill switch on its oversight. Like, as soon as you throw national security protocol, they can take the reason why they do it is to kill the oversight. You see what I'm saying? Sorry, it was a long way to get there. It took my brain a second to get there. But the day after Trump's inauguration in January of 2025, they announced the Stargate right at the White House. So this is they have $500 billion for this AI build out. And that would include, I think it's OpenAI, Oracle. There's a company called SoftBank, and there's a few others. MGX is an Abu Dhabi sovereign wealth fund overseen by a sheikh, I forgot the name, who's actually the brother of the president. And then there's all these countries mixed in, Singapore and all kinds of cities. I mean, it's just wild. So when they tell you really like AI security national protocols are priority, really you should be asking them, like, nobody in DC will ask on camera, really, I haven't seen, is like, who's national security? You know what I mean? Like, because when the capital stack of your nation's or our national security priority is actually Abu Dhabi's sovereign wealth fund, Singapore's sovereign wealth fund, Spanish gas infrastructure, that's not national security, bro. That is a national capture dressed up in a flag. I don't know. I think lobbying should be illegal. That's how we got here, is lobbying. It's bullshit. Good question, bro. Thank you. Good to see you. China owns 277,000 acres of land in the U.S. Yes, they do. It might be more than that. Thank you for the super chat. Gates owns 275,000. Oh my gosh, bro. It's crazy, no? Thank you for the super chat. Maryland started manipulating weather in Vietnam. Hearing in the 1970s, and government said we can control weather. We must be really an expert at it now. Yes, we are. Remember the Texas rain slosh that just absolutely destroyed, killed kids, the summer camp kids? That was last year. You know what's crazy is Jesse on Fire was going to send his kids, one of his daughters, to go to the camp. They didn't end up going. Can you imagine? In general, it doesn't matter who it is, but at the end of the day, man, like, this is awful. So this cloud seeding stuff, they're saying it has nothing to do with it, but yeah, they're going to be able to contribute lots of rain, I'm sure of. Don't Google size. Baron Coleman will pop up. What? What are you talking about? Nalino, member for a month. Welcome, Dankster. Good to see you. The good book says we will win in the end. Yes, that's absolutely true. Christ is king. I see what you're saying. Win in the end. Okay, that makes sense. What's up, Joyful Ladybug? Good to see you. Member for 3 months. OG Dankster. We will not tell Baron. I didn't even say it. You can't. There's nothing to tell. There's nothing to tell. I promise. There's nothing to tell. I didn't say it. I didn't say it. Okay? I didn't say it. This is for high IQ outfit fee. Well, we're going to need a lot more than that. He's been 10xing it, right? It was $3 and $33. I don't want to get hit with a $333 fee. I'm not playing that. I can't afford that. No. We're going to need a lot more super chats. Thanks for that. Member for a month. What's up, Drake? Joyful Ladybug tagged you in a Twin Cities business magazine reel. Grew up on tip of Lake Superior. Supposed Navy activity going on deep underwater. Very sus. Tagged you in Twin Cities business magazine reel. I'm getting used to Instagram. So for me, it's new. I've always had this Instagram. I've never used it properly. But today it was being used. I was using it. I created the reel and a story and all that. Elizabeth was like, no, you got to. I'm usually the one teaching people how to use social media. She was like teaching me and all this. Baze has been a great help. So yeah, follow me on Instagram, Danks or Intel. I'd love to have you. We'll chat there too. Thank you, Ladybug. Thank you. Keep up the great work. Good work. We need you. Thank you. Philippe Fault. I appreciate you. Thank you so much. Julie, speaking of $10, thank you. Speaking of DOD, did you hear about Eric Trump's $24 million? Why can't I read that? Do I need to zoom in over here? Hold on. My eyes are killing me. 24 million Pentagon robot. Maybe they can use them instead of drafting of Americans. Oh, shit. Yeah, I heard. I don't know a whole lot about it, but have you seen the military like dogs that they can like, dude, this is wild. Let me show you this. AI war dog gun fighting. Let me see if I can find a video on this. Let me see. I'm pretty sure that we have this stuff too. Let me share the screen right here. Let me make sure that. Oh yeah, here we go. So this is China. I just pulled up the first thing. I don't want to take too long looking at this, but let's take a look here.
Throw in your nightmare cube. I got it for you today. And this is robotic dogs with guns mounted to them. And this one is from March of 2026. This is an exercise with the PLA. It looks like they're doing a breach here. I'm actually just going to back it up.
Bro, you imagine? Oh.
So you can see there is an individual here acting as opposition forces. Take some shots and this robotic dog goes blasting in there, just trying to get after it here. Yeah, robots are the future. What we don't see and what we don't know is what transpired up until this point. Like how capable is this dog? Was it able to run off the vehicle? Is it pretty set and staged?
Bro. Like this is all obviously fake. This is just them testing, but this is not good. Like if they fly a bunch of these drones over here, we are.
Again, no telling here. I could appreciate and
drop them off. Just drop off a bunch of these damn dogs and shit.
I can make the assumption that we don't necessarily have to see all that data just to know how fast this stuff is evolving. The next video I want to show you is from September of 2025. This is Deep Robotics, Chinese firm producing robot dogs. And surprise, surprise, their biggest customer is the Chinese People Liberation Army. So you can see a variety of wheeled as well as some of those robot dogs.
Bro, like, how do we not know that they're not just like bringing them over across the border in Mexico? No? I mean, they have so I think Trump, what they have is this company, Foundation Future Industries or something I heard of. It's like a startup in San Francisco, and they founded themselves back in the, I think late 2024. And it's a fintech company that is building these combat robots. Now I'm remembering. And they should just, yeah, but like, what is the implication? Yeah, obviously we don't want to be sending humans to war. I don't think we're going to be doing that much longer. You know, if they're starting these like autonomous drone warfare type of things, you know, obviously, like, let's see what this is saying here.
Called this dog carrier system. I honestly don't know what any of that is on the screens. She looks super friendly with an assault rifle, and you got a flavor of various dogs standing behind her. But I want to back it up here. This truck, right? Roll the vehicle out, let the dogs eat, right? Let them go to work here. Again, not where I want to be. That looks terrifying. So clearly these things are evolving. They bring a whole unique capability to the battlefield. And
yeah, I don't like showing that stuff because they pulled my channel one time. I was live. And so I don't show firearms on this channel. So that's why we didn't show any firearms. We don't like to do that because of the fact that it's just, you don't want to show violent stuff. So we prefer not to do that. So anyways, but yeah, imagine having like some drone dog coming up and busting out, like 3 of them just like got you surrounded with a speakerphone. Come out of your house. We're coming in anyway. Like, it's execution. What can you do? How scary is that? Think about how scary that is. And we have to also worry about, hopefully not, but a tyrannical government as well. If for some reason something goes sideways, you're going to need more than you're going to need like a shotgun. You're going to need a 12 gauge. You know what I mean? And you need a few of them. And who knows if that's going to even help. You're going to need like frag grenades, you know, flashbangs, and I don't even know, like the ones that you play Call of Duty. You're going to need these flags or these EMP grenades. That's crazy. Imagine needing that. Thanks for the super chat. Jeannie, hey, what's up? I sent you a DM this morning. Can only listen right now, but I've missed the Danksters and Dankettes. Yeah, I hope you're feeling better. I know that you were doing you were feeling not too great. So I sent you a text. I haven't been able to check, but I hope you're doing well. Thank you for chiming in. Glad you're able to listen. I do like to speak my education. Welcome to class. Class is almost done. Thank you, Jeannie. Great to see you. I hope you're doing well. Our electric from Bluebee, our electric money has doubled, but I thought it was because of BlackRock bought Centerpoint. If we ask about MIDA, how do we know they won't just lie about it? Oh, there's information on the internet. Go to I think it's this website. Oh, MIDA.org, MIDAUT.org, MIDA Utah. I put it in the chat. I'll pin it. Let me pin it in this chat real quick. Let me see. Go to MIDAUT.org and I'll pin it in this chat. Can I get there? Gosh. Pin. There you go. I pinned it. Go check out MIDA UT because you need to know what that is. But they'll lie about what it is. You know what they'll do is they will lie saying, we can't we can make decisions on behalf of the local. Like they literally have full regulatory control. They have all the decision making, all of that, all of it. So they'll probably lie. I can't 10x that. Yeah, wait. Well, I think you've done what, like $15? We got like, yeah, it's more than 10x. I don't know how much the 20 is. I think SEK, I think it's $5. I'm not sure, but thank you. I appreciate it. 10 memberships. Hey. 10 Danks memberships. Thank you. Say thank you. Again, every Saturday, let me put the banner up. We have members only live streams. So the gifted memberships, they're random, okay? But we have members lives every Saturday, 10 a.m., sometimes 11. Or you can go to clubwatcher.com and you can donate or become a member in the Discord and it connects you. All right. So make sure you go to, those are my emails. You can also email me, but right here. And that's where we do community work and stuff like that. All right. Thanks for the memberships. Julie, they had robot dogs during the 2050th military parade last summer. In all reality, these robots and humanoids are to be used against us or to replace humans, allegedly, in my opinion. I hope not. That's wild. Well, God bless everybody. I appreciate you. Thanks for sticking around. I really hope this was entertaining and as well as educational. It's super, super important that you learn what is happening in our government, what is happening in our country, so we know and we can take action. The best thing you can do is go to your regulators, your officials, and ask questions and get information, really. No Ego, $9.99. Have you read the book Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle? I recommended it on Barron's show. It's a really good book. Talks about the ego. Danks, you are definitely high IQ. What sets you far apart is that you move with humility with all that knowledge, and I'm grateful. Thank you. That's very, very, very kind. I do my best. Thank you for the $10. I do what I can. I love doing this. I've been doing content for 6 years. This is the channel that hit. Crypto is so poker and crypto. I've done poker, crypto. I have 2 political channels. If you go to YouTube and you go to Danks Clips, this is my, here, let me share this with you. So this is my other channel right here, Danks Clips. I did a live stream with Jesse on Fire yesterday and Trigger Smart. And so help me get this channel up as well. And I'm really trying to see, so I've been testing other things. Like I cook food for my dogs, like I did a video of like cooking for my dogs and stuff. I'm just trying different content out. But I love this topic. I could do more AI stuff there. But yeah, more clips, more shorts, stuff like that. I had our first live stream yesterday. It's my old crypto channel. I turned it into a clips channel. So give a follow. I'll put the link in the chat. I appreciate a follow on that channel. It would help a lot. So, because the other day, like I was trying to go live yesterday after I had a live, and you don't want to go live or deploy videos while one video is going already, because what happens is the algorithm will only show one video, and it's usually your latest one. So I don't want to stop the views on one because, want your message to get out. But if you go follow at Danks Clips, you'll get to see more content. And I try to put stuff out there. I've been kind of busy, so I'll try to do more there. But yeah, give it a follow for sure. Join, support the channel. But yeah, appreciate you. Follow on Instagram, Rumble as well. We're live on Rumble as we speak. Let me make sure I didn't miss anything from Rumble for supers or anything like that. I don't know if it shows up. I don't think I've ever gotten a super chat on Rumble. So I don't know if I missed anything or not. Let me see. There we go. No, okay. All right. 31 watching on Rumble. Thank you for viewing. Thank you for hanging out. I appreciate you. Big love to all of you. We'll see you guys in the next one tomorrow, I think. I might put out a video or a live. So we'll see. I might do a live tomorrow. There's some stuff that I want to cover about TPUSA and Erica Kirk as well. And this actually converges in a unique way. So anyways, I'll catch you in the next one. Thanks so much. Love you all. We'll see you in the next one. Peace.